Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Children's Church segment. My name is Miss Imani, and we have been talking about hearing from God and seeing God. That's right. First, we talked about Elijah with his servant that allowed him to see that they wasn't faced with this amazing army, but they had the fire of God around them. But he had to ask for God to let him see that. The other thing is we talked about Samuel. Remember Samuel? He was sleeping in the throne of the Lord. He was sleeping where the Ark of the Covenant was, and he heard God's voice. And he didn't know it was God's voice. He heard God's voice calling him. He thought it was Eli, and it wasn't. It was actually God. And then today, we're going to talk about Moses. He heard God in a burning bush. That's right, a fiery bush. A bush on fire that wasn't burning. Isn't that interesting? I bet he said, that's interesting. And then the voice of God, a message came from the fire. So the question becomes, why does God want us to hear him? Why does he speak to us that way? Why is it so important to be able to see what God is doing? Why is it important to hear God? Not just mommy and daddy, but for you to hear God. Just like Elijah, just like Samuel, just like Moses. And then there was Daniel. God has these amazing different ways in which he tries to speak to us. But why? And what's the result of him speaking? Do we obey? Let's do an exercise so you can discover why God wants us to hear his voice, even when mommy and daddy are not around, even when your teacher is not around, even when Miss Imani is not around, that you, even at the age you are now, can hear God's voice. For what? Let's discover that. All right, it's very important to hear God's voice and to see what God is doing. Well, one reason is for direction. He wants to give us direction. And what are some of the ways you've discovered through the exercise you did in class? Well, boys and girls, let's dive into the story of Moses and the burning bush with your teacher. But I hope you learned something. Until next time. Bye-bye.